Mithron Euroto reading Twist and Shout makes me physically ill.
It is a period of civil war, beyond a galaxy far, far away. For thousands of years, the hosts of RuPalp's Podrace have not shut the fuck up about the funky little blue man. Welcome to the podcast within a podcast, Rogue Ones, for our Thrawntent special in preparation for the release of Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil. I am Klaudia. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on social media at Klaudia says, Kaludia says. And instead of a gender this week, my Chiss name is Erizi Klaudia.
You're so epic, Z Claudie.
I hate that.
I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter at Kawaii Jessio. And my Chiss name is Stybla Jess. So it's La Jess.
Bla Jess. Oh my god, you're so epic.
Hello, my name is Mel. I use they, them pronoun. You can find me on TikTok at GrunkleRex, and my Chiss name is Stybla Melvin, aka LaMelv.
LaMelv and La Jess.
That's so powerful.
Thrawn and Thras, look out. It's La Jess and
LaMelv.
This is so powerful.
Klaudia is our Arloni.
No, I'm Zayinda.
Oh yeah,
Zayinda, my beloved. Hey girly, what's up?
Yeah, we just want to preface this that we will not stand for the dead naming of Zayinda in this.
So we when you are hearing this, unless you are hearing this later in the week, we have already read Lesser Evil. A very cool thing that we've gotten to do, and now we can finally talk about it. However, we don't want to spoil it for you guys, so we're going to keep it spoiler free here, and our next episode is going to be a full Lesser Evil situation. This is our aperitif, if you will. We'll say this: we do know that our dear, formerly known as Lakinda, was offered a place in the Erizi family at the end of the last book. So we will be calling her by her correct name, Zayinda, in this episode.
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Lakinda, Zayinda.
There was no dead naming on this podcast.
My
wife. Would we like to start with what's our personal connection with Thrawn, our favorite appearance book, and what's our favorite part of the Chiss Ascendancy, our favorite Chiss in general?
I read basically all of the Thrawn books within like a 2-week period, like in March of this year. What a wild experience. First of all, I read them out of order. I read Alliances first, and then Thrawn, and then Treason. So I didn't have any wait time to see where the fuck Eli was. I actually enjoyed that. I think that's a really good way to enter learning about Thrawn when you've only had him in Rebels. Just because, like, okay, there's a character you already know, there's Vader, and like that was an interesting dynamic. But I didn't know anything about Eli until I was a book in. Because I think there's like one passing mention of him in Alliances. And so I was like, everyone talks about this little cowboy man, and I have yet to see him. That was why. Anyways, so there's that. I have so many feelings about Thrawn. He has such an interesting relationship between being part of a marginalized group within the Empire, but also being the oppressor. And that is so funky fresh to me, like, just something to investigate. I'm holding him accountable for his actions. So, like, that motherfucker's a war criminal. I have some feelings about him that are not very positive, but overall I find him a fascinating character. And especially in the Ascendancy books, because that's, pre-Fash era Thrawn. And I don't know. The Chiss Ascendancy, I'm obsessed with you, girl. I'm obsessed. Specifically, of course, Samacro and his huge titties. But also Zayinda, my beloved.
Yeah, so I also just read all the Thrawn books this year, but I did get coerced into it because I watched Rebels, and then I saw Mel making a bunch of TikToks. This was like actually before like the
Not the
podcast.
mid-level marketing scheme
Yeah.
working again.
Why am I the Thrawn sleeper agent?
Yeah, but this was like even before our podcast did like
Yeah, because
had,
we all of us, like as a group of people, didn't really start talking until I would say around when Greater Good got released.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
right
yeah.
before Bad Batch started.
Yeah, so it was before Bad Batch. I started reading the first Thrawn book, I think, like a little bit after Greater Good had been released, because I know a bunch of people were like, oh shit, new Thrawn. I was just like, I gotta fucking read this. And then I was like, oh my god, like, I was like, Thrawn is actually such an interesting character, and I'm obsessed with you, Eli Vanto. And then, I read Alliances and Treason, so I did read them in the correct order. Although Alliances is actually my least favorite. I'm sorry, it's because I'm not a Anakin like stan. So like the
Same.
fact there was so much Anakin in that book made me be like, I'm going to pass away. And I did listen to the audiobook of that at like 2 times speed, because I was just like, I can't sit through this. But yeah, and then I didn't really speed run, but I did like get through like Chaos Rising and Greater Good, the Ascendancy books, relatively quick. Thrawn, like, I thought he was like kind of cool. Like, I did also think he was like really fucked up in Rebels. So like getting into the books, I was just like, damn, this like feels like a whole different person. Which we all know it's because like, in Rebels it's what no Eli does to a motherfucker, but
And the IBS.
and the IBS, so that's why he was behaving that way. That's canon. And, our bestie Timmy's on told me so. Actually, like Eli was like my favorite thing from like the Thrawn stuff. So it did make me sad that he was like not there in Alliances, and then like only kind of there in like Treason. In general, yeah, I found like Thrawn interesting because like the books really like give you more insight into like what this funky blue man is like thinking, like blue man group member Thrawn. Um and then the Ascendancy, like, dang, there's like a lot going on there, which at first I got really confused because there's all these like the Chiss naming system is very confusing. And there's all these like new characters, but like it's a fun, funky, fresh time. Again, like if you haven't read the Thrawn books, I don't know why you're here listening to this, but hey, welcome. I'm pushing the Thrawn books onto you. And yeah, Samacro and his chitties is also very important to me. Thank you, Samacro. Your chitties saved my life. No.
Damn, Nikki, your bobbies.
Damn, Samacro, your bobbies.
Damn, Sammy, your puppies.
Yeah.
Do
Your chotties?
we have to explain why we joke about
Okay,
some
so
macro
basically,
cheese?
first of all, this entire episode, I have to just quick make a dedication. The people on Chiss Twitter are, first of all, the backbone of Star Wars Twitter, in my opinion. They're the
really
funniest,
are.
consistently the most funniest people, have some of the most just intelligent, well thought out takes, and just some beautiful fan art. So thank you, Chiss Twitter. Chiss Twitter
is a wild time. They will like give you like the most like in-depth like theory, and just like, wow, that's like really like they were like really deep diving thinking about this. That's like some good content. And then the next second I'll see like the most horniest fucking tweet, and I'm like, oh, the whiplash I experienced. But it's fun. Thank you, Chiss Twitter. It's always a fun time me scrolling through all of your tweets.
I will say that because we read Lesser Evil earlier because we had arcs, seeing people's theories of like what was happening, we texted each other just back and forth for like weeks.
Oh my god.
It's literally like I see things and I'm like, oh bestie, I got something to tell you.
I know some people aren't far off.
This episode, honestly, this whole podcast, we do it all for you, Chiss Twitter. Like you really do it for you.
Chiss Twitter, just put a little dedication for you. Like if this was a book, the beginning dedication is just like for Chiss Twitter.
Anyways, Chiss Twitter made the joke about Samacro's Chiss titties. That is the explanation.
So Macro is my favorite. Sorry if I didn't make that obvious. He's my favorite Chiss fan.
I've said before, I watched most of Rebels as it was coming out, and I started my canon run of books in, I think, around 2017, and that is when the first canon Thrawn book came out. I don't know if I read it until maybe end of 2017 or 2018. Like, I was around the Rebels era of books. I got through things pretty fast, and I was reading the physical copies like from the library. I had to go, so I was a little slower than I am now. And I read it at the same time that I was reading like Catalyst and A New Dawn and a bunch of other stuff. And I do remember reading it and like I'm being a changed person. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be my entire personality. Like I can find old tweets of mine of me like losing my fucking mind. And also like that first book is the gayest one of Thrawn and Eli, and I became that was my Joker. It still is my Joker, but I became a fucking problem. And I don't know if I read Alliances when it came out. I eventually read it, whatever, and I was very upset that Eli was not in it. But I actually enjoyed Alliances. It was not my favorite, but I did enjoy it. Mostly because Padme is in it, and Timmy Zahn. I really like the Padme books. I don't know at what point I read them, but Timmy Zahn is one of the only male writers that I do trust with a girl boss. So it was great seeing her in like with different writers and interact with Thrawn, because Thrawn, he surrounds himself with girl bosses. He can really appreciate a girl boss. I read Thrawn Treason when it came out, so I did the wait of when am I going to see Eli again, and how is he going to respond to seeing each other again. And when I tell you, my opinions on that book have evolved. Actually, you guys are part of the reason why, because when it first came out, much like the ending of Rebels, when it first came out, I was like, I think I blacked out. Like, I was viscerally angry. Like, I was about to become a problem. I was a toxic person. Like, when he pulled the Good Day Lieutenant Vanto, I was like, this is homophobia. I was like, Timothy Zahn, how could you do this to me? I trusted you. Like,
You were my brother.
Literally, I went through something. And I also, like, I already had loved Arlani, and she had barely shown up before, and I remember, like, I think my judgment was very much clouded by this, because I remember in that book being like, I'm so bored by all of the, like, the battles and stuff that, I was waiting for those personal moments, especially between Thrawn and Eli, and I think that is very much the difference, because in the first book, it isn't first person, and none of the rest of the books are. And so that it was like a ton of battles and whatever, and then I was like, oh, Arlani's a girl boss, I want to see more of her. And then it was like so much shit going on. Now, as I've rewatched Rebels, as I'm reading the Chiss Ascendancy books, whatever, I'm like, actually that was kind of a bop, and like there was a lot going on, whatever. But like I felt the same way when Rebels ended, because I was like, actually, why do we keep killing people for women's pain in Star Wars? And like, it's not just like, oh, we can't have anybody be happy, but like it's a weird and toxic message of like, oh yeah, like people can have love, but only if they're dead or something. Like, it's just weird and gross. I was like, it's not feminism, it's disgusting love. Like I was in a toxic headspace, I'm not gonna lie. So when the Chiss Ascendancy books came out, I don't think I read them as they came out. I know I was a little late to Greater Good. Chaos Rising, I think I mainlined those after you guys did. But I had been in the shits of these books for quite some time. And and by then I had started reading the audiobooks, and so I was like becoming a Mark Thompson stan, all that kind of stuff. And then I did read the Thrawn comic, and since then I have become quite a problem. And TikTok did make it worse. So my journey with Canon Thrawn has been quite a journey, but this man means a lot to me, and it's very concerning, because I don't tend to be a person who likes villains, or at least politically bad villains. And this time around I'm like, oh, this man means a lot to me personally, and that's very concerning, and I don't like it. That being said, what is my favorite Thrawn book? It's gonna be the first Thrawn book, mostly because every time I read certain passages from it, it makes me feel crazy. It's gone up there as like what I say is like my favorite Star Wars book, and right, and I mean I rotate of like what my favorite books of all time are, but like there's some stuff that hits in there. As far as favorite Chiss Ascendancy thing or person, I'm a Wootro stan. That girl, she's not in it enough. She really just, she's the icon. She's the moment. She is definitely in lesbianism with Aralani. And she is my favorite person. So yeah, that's my Thrawn journey. My Throny.
Not your Thurny. I would like to preface this episode by saying none of us have really read Legends. I think I am the person who is closest to doing that. I read
yes, you're like your page of
my
Legends.
page and a half of Heir to the Empire.
This is gonna be canon Thrawn only. So
yes.
sorry to y'all.
Legends. That being said, I do find it very interesting. I was looking at this today because I was looking for fan fiction, and I was like, wait, is Aralani? Was she only in the canon stuff, or was she in Legends? She was in Legends, actually. She was in Outbound Flight. And so I think about that a lot. I think about I know that there is such a distinct image of Thrawn in Legends and then in canon, and there isn't a huge shift, I think, between those two things. There are like a few like major things, but other than that, I think Timmy has even said it. He's tried to make at least the Ascendancy books something that can pair with the Legends content. But
I think he said that obviously within the bounds of the canon storyline that has to be fit into, he has tried his best so that the new stuff fits in with the old stuff. Like he while a lot of people reading it may not consider them to be the same character, he does consider them. As he's writing it, he considers them to be the same character. And so like especially books like Outbound Flight, which after we met Thras in Lesser Evil, I very much want to go back and read. He's like that. I want it to fit in as much as possible. Obviously there's going to be some little plot things and whatever that aren't going to, but so I think he has tried his best to keep it that way, which is very interesting, I guess. And it's a very specific thing for him because he's probably one of the only like Legends authors who's still playing with the same characters and with the same, not universe, but same like group of people and everything. So it's very interesting.
It's gonna be really interesting as we enter, because Ahsoka did decide to name drop that gentleman. How, if at all, Timothy Zahn is going to be involved with seeing Thrawn in live action. I personally would like to see him involved, but I'm also like, I just don't know how he's going to fit into this larger narrative, and that frightens me.
I am not gonna lie to you though, while the Luke Skywalker reveal, it made me cry, it made me scream. I felt I had an out-of-body experience. It was crazy. The Thrawn name drop, I think I blacked out. Like, that one, I was like, I'm about to lose my motherfucking marbles. Like, I screamed, I jumped out of my chair. Like, I think that one might have been better than Luke Skywalker.
I wish I had known Thrawn when I had, like, seen that, because I was just like, who?
No, literally. Literally. Okay, so for context for me, The Mandalorian was my gateway back into Star Wars. And specifically season 2. Like, season 1 I watched kind of casually. I was very confused about the timeline. I thought it was before the original trilogy. So I was like, what is happening here? Anyways, that's not the point. The point is I first of all didn't even really know who Ahsoka was. So that episode I was like, oh, like this fun little lady is like here fighting this other woman. I was like, oh, okay, her choreography is like really good. Like she's really good.
She's really good.
Really good. And then she to that woman is like, where's Thrawn? And I knew that was significant to someone, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll file that away for later. And then when I was reading the Thrawn books, I kept on waiting for that woman to be mentioned. I forgot her name, Elsbeth, Morgan Elsbeth.
Morgan, yeah.
I was waiting for her to, like, get mentioned at literally all, like, even as, like, a crew member on the Chimera, like, literally anything and nothing. So I'm like, girl, what's your deal? Where did you come from? Quickly.
Well, so listen, like, I felt crazy because I think at that point my partner Claire had not finished Rebels, whatever. So I'm screaming, crying, throwing up, like whatever, and everyone
shitting, farting, passing away.
Literally, I'm like, oh my god, I've connected the dots, blah, 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 oh my god, blah, 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 and then I'm going online and there's like the 7th Fleet symbol on things and I missed it and I'm like, oh my god, like,
wait, what?
Oh yeah, the 7th Fleet. People noticed that the 7th Fleet symbol is on the droids in that episode of The Mandalorian.
What the fuck? Who is that?
Hello?
Yeah, I think that's how. I don't know if it was in the wouldn't have been in the previous episode.
I gotta go rewatch Mando season 2 now that I've watched all the Star Wars content.
Yeah, and that's why people were like, "Oh my god!" Like Thrawn and his little what are the robots, the droids that he fights in
droids.
Yeah, he has the droids in his bedroom on the Chimera. It's literally those, like, he has with his little bumper sticker on them in The Mandalorian. So and people picked it up. They were like, 7th Fleet insignia, and then this random woman, and then mentioning Thrawn, like, well, so this then.
Damn, I really wish she was Karen Farrell. Like, I don't like Morgan Elsbeth. I think she's an asshole.
Karen Farrell, girl.
Damn, Karen Farrell would never do that. She got transferred and she said, actually, I'm going to do a desk job now. Fuck you guys.
I will say, like, there are some episodes of the Clone Wars that do not pass the Bechdel test, and the Thrawn books pass the Bechdel test literally constantly. Like, what is that? Like, it's because Thrawn, you know what? He respects a girl boss, and we do love that.
Timothy Zahn is like a surprisingly good girl boss writer.
He
writes so many girl bosses.
You know who else respects a girl boss? Maul.
This is not about Maul.
He was raised in a matriarchal society, and then Thrawn was raised amongst girl bosses. It was
Thank you for showing more parallels with Thrawn and Maul, because I can push my Thrall agenda once again.
Agenda, baby!
The blue-red ship that, like, y'all are looking for, it's right there. It's Thrall. If they had been able to meet, they would have kissed on the mouth.
The polycule is Eli, Thrawn, and Maul.
No, get Eli out of there.
Eli, girl, run.
And Samacro!
Samacro, you too!
Samacro would fucking punch Maul in the face.
Let's just attack the blue man in the room, which is... He is a war criminal. There are no Geneva Conventions in Star Wars. There are the Yavin Conventions, and the Chiss Ascendancy does have some extremely strict rules on preemptive strikes. Not only preemptive strikes, but, like, they do not engage unless someone has engaged them first.
Isolationist moment.
Yeah, well, they are literally called the Chiss Expansionary Defense Fleet, but also this is not really a spoiler, this is also just me being an idiot. I thought that was just what they called their military, but then they were like, oh no, they have like family planetary security, but then they also have like the military within the Chiss Ascendancy, which they called something else.
I think
just the defense fleet.
Yeah, there's the CDF and then the C
EDF.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So and is that why Jafosk is the guy who is like overall? He's Bakif's boss, and Bakif is like, these are my little friends who go out.
I thought it was more like Jafosk was like in charge of the defense fleet, whereas Bakif is in charge of the expansionary defense.
Oh, so are they
fleet.
like across from each other? You know what,
I think they're like both equal. Chart. It's just like one of them is like, you know, in charge of like the inner ascendancy, like,
wait, new
protection.
Ship just dropped.
No, Jafosk and Bakif.
Wait, what?
Jafosk and
Bakif?
Bafosk?
Bafosk sounds like boss.
Supreme
Admiral Jafosk, and then Supreme General Bakif.
That's what I'm saying. I think Bakif is under him because he runs.
Okay, why is Jafosk not on the fucking dramatis personae?
Yeah.
Here are the military ranks: Supreme Admiral, Supreme General, Fleet Admiral, Senior General, Admiral.
Yeah,
he's a Supreme Admiral. Okay.
So I guess Jafosk is like
he just serves
the head.
as a supreme admiral within the defense hierarchy council of the Chiss Ascendancy. So the defense hierarchy council is basically like, I think they are basically the equivalent of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Our funky little guy, he is a war criminal, not just because he likes a preemptive strike or like, say, I'm going to taunt them until they strike me and then I can legally strike them. Like when he's in the Empire, they do show that he is far less cruel than other, like, but it's only because of he wants to be more efficient. Because I think his main annoyance with his coworkers is like, you people are so busy being evil fuckers that you don't get your job done. You're so annoying. Like, he's like better than them, like, only because of that. So it's not great.
Thrawn's whole thing is like, oh, like, I'm here with the Empire because the Grisk are gonna shit and fart all over my people. Also, I got exiled, whatever, lol. And then Palpatine's like, oh, you can work for us. And I think just like, it's not the lesser of two evils, the Empire. It is definitively the worst evil. Like,
well, I think that's I always like to show him as like a parallel to Anakin or whatever, is like the flaw of people who think this way is that they think there is a lesser evil or whatever, when it's like, no, it's just a different flavor of bad. Like, this is just fascism. It's bad, just in a different way.
Oh, Thrawn, you silly little gentleman.
Yeah, it also hurts a lot when he's like, yeah, fuck these rebels, but then, like, in the Ascendancy books, he's like, actually, I do think that, like, people have worth. And you're like, so how did you get from A to B? Like,
Yeah, I think, honestly, it's, like, his time in the Empire, like, changes him.
He fell down that pipeline. It's sad.
No, not the alt-right pipeline, Thrawn!
No, because, like, he's, like, in this, like, precarious spot while he's in the Ascendancy. He's in a pretty good spot. This is what I've always said too, because like people are like, oh, like in Rebels, like he's like a Machiavellian villain, which like is true. He does some really whack shit, but I can see the line of succession from him being in the Ascendancy, kind of being in this like strange position where he's like, he doesn't understand the politics of it all, so he's like, okay, like I know this will help, so I'm gonna go fuck off. He had joined the Empire, and the Empire is so easily to shape him because it gives him a clear structure to like work through. And of course there are still politics that go over his head, but he's like, okay, this is the clear point. I have gone now down the worst timeline. Away.
The other interesting part of the Empire, so as you read the Ascendancy books, the like main thing is Thrawn is really great at the military, but this man cannot read a social cue, is very bad at politics, and all the time. And they're like, it is very clear this man is autistic, first of all. They make it abundantly clear, but they're like, specifically, he's very bad at politics, which in the Ascendancy is a really big part, not only because of families, but because like the Syndicure, which is like Congress, has a very weird relationship with the military. The Empire, though, is in the way that it contrasts to that is that the Empire is almost like post what the Ascendancy is kind of what the Republic was like during the Clone Wars, where the politics were a little all over the place, love. It was a lot. The Empire is post that, and the reason that Thrawn thrives is because the only politics are the interpersonal military politics, which he's fine at. Like, it's not that he can't read personal social cues, he can. It's the like overall political picture, which is also why I guess he falls down the alt-right pipeline. But it's more that like, and this is also a part of the Empire's downfall as well, is that everyone is so out for themselves that the politics are very personal, and in the Ascendancy it's very family based. And for Thrawn, he's like, he thrives in the Empire because it's very personal, and he can like, yeah, I can see A to B. That's very simple. And people are very easy to manipulate and read, and everyone's jockeying for something in the Empire in a very kind of straightforward way almost. And in the Ascendancy, like, not to say that there's like more altruism, but there's a lot. It's a it's more of a society of a collective, and that doesn't always mesh with how his brain works. So it's just a very, and also in the Empire, whatever, you don't, like, the politics is all run by the military. Like, the reason that he works with Price, she's a governor. She's not a military thing, but all of the governors are military officials. Like, she commands all of the military forces on there. So, like, the reason he does so well is because there is no separation between the political and the military in the Empire. And I don't think he really, like, I don't think he realized that until we get to treason, and where he's like, oh, my goose is fucking got, because the Emperor is running it the whole time. So it is kind of a catch-22 for him. It's just really interesting because that is why there are often people trying to stop him in the Ascendancy, because they're like, bestie, like, it's more than just you. Like, do read the room. It's not just about, like, you have to do whatever to solve it. Like, there are bigger problems. It's also why I think he has a lot of respect for people like Hera Syndulla, ironically, because he's like, well, they're like, he has a lot of respect for them, whatever. He's like, yeah, I mean, their politics align with their actions, and that's very straightforward. And the people that annoy him that he doesn't understand in the Ascendancy, or in the Empire, are the people that, like, make his life a living hell there, just like they were in the Ascendancy. And that's why having Eli along is so helpful, because Eli's the one's like, hey, buddy, politically, I don't think that's gonna work so hot.
Not to defend preemptive strikes, because it's just sometimes it's like clearly obvious that some, like, for the Ascendancy books, this is not about lesser evil. It's just kind of in the Ascendancy books, it's clearly obvious that this thing's like gonna happen. Maybe it's just because, like, POV characters fucking know. Thrawn definitely knows, and then, like, everyone else is just like, well, they technically haven't, like, done the thing they're gonna do to us yet, so we can't do anything back to them. So just like, Ascendancy, why are your rules so strict about them?
Well, and this is also, I'm trying not to get into spoilers as well, but I think that, like, you sort of figure out, like, oh, their rules are so strict because, like, their politics are so complicated that they're like, yeah, if we were to, like, tip the scale one way by, shooting first on something, it would have a cascade of problems, and that is kind of what happens. So you kind of get it. And there is and that's why I do love characters like Thras and characters like Aralani, who intellectually keep up with Thrawn, and think similarly to him, but just with a different flavor. They have they're also neurodivergent. They just have a different vibe. Aralani, I like to say, is it's ADHD autistic a solidarity, where she's like I know a lot about many things, but it's a lot for me. What's interesting there is that they can keep up with him, and they can be like, listen, I get it. I've thought it through now. I'm behind you a little bit, but now I get it, and I agree with you, but now we're gonna need to find a legal explanation for this, because you can't just, like, bop along. There's very much of a thing of, like, I agree with you. There is proof of this. We could prove this. It just requires holding the Syndicate's hand through that.
I just realized Thrawn is very much like, it's better to apologize than to ask permission. Thrawn just go out of his way to do fucking things. He's like, I'll deal with the consequences of my actions later. And then later on, it's like, oh, the consequences of my actions are being dealt with, but not by me. Sorry to my friends.
So sorry to everybody else, but Aralani is gonna have to clean up my mistakes again.
Aralani and Bakif are just like, God damn it.
Thalius is like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Thrawn's like, that's too damn bad.
No, Patriarch Tharaki is just like, that's too damn bad.
I do love the Ascendancy books, Chaos Rising, Greater Good, and Consequences.
Reading the Ascendancy books is like experiencing the Clone Wars again, and there is definitely a feeling of, like, I know what's gonna happen at the end, and I'm feeling sad about it.
It's also like the Clone Wars in the sense that there's a lot of battles going on. Like a lot of these books is just describing these battles, and I'm just like, Timmy, I don't know what the freak
I'm
these
like,
like terms you're
Timmy,
using mean.
plasma
They're
spheres,
like
girl, what is that?
turn the ship, yaw.
I'm like,
Yaw,
okay.
yaw the ship this way or something like that. I don't remember
I'm
the
like,
terms.
okay.
I'm just like, huh?
The funny part is that like, oh yeah, it's about battle tactics, whatever, and I'm like, I'm here for the gay people. And I think that's another thing is like, a lot of people are like, oh, these are the military strategy books, whatever. And yet these are some of the most like emotionally complex Star Wars books. Not like there aren't other ones, to be fair, but like these are like, they have some of the most interesting interpersonal relations, some of the most like, I think that's why I relate it to the Clone Wars a lot, and the parallels to Anakin and whatever is like some of the most interesting like ways that we connect the wider socio-political stuff going on with like how like these people who deeply care about each other, even though they're on a fucking like their warship, and they're like, yeah, we're on a warship. Oh, has the child had her juice pouch today? And you're like, I have whiplash. Like, you were just talking about like getting hostages, and now you're talking about giving cheese triangle squares to an 11-year-old. Like, these books are crazy.
She's 10. Get your facts right.
Fine, I'm sorry. Meat, just, what is it? Fruit with meat stripes. I think that's why these books make people feel crazy, because it's like, it's not what you expect. You're like, oh yeah, there's all this intrigue, whatever. And then like, I mean, I was doing this today when I was reading Lesser Evil. Like, oh, yeah, oh, we're in a battle, there's things happening, whatever. And then like next scene, I'm about to fucking sob. Like, oh, I'm crying over the fucking Blue Man Group. I hate this.
Not the fucking Springhawk being the touring Blue Man Group. Get out.
Springhawk is the Blue Man Group. Emotionally, the stuff with Thrawn is like, I think that's also why it means a lot to me personally. Because there's a lot with his background of like, yeah, I really struggled and I didn't have any friends because like, you know, everybody was mean to me, and I just want to look at art, and now there's like an entire syndics who want to end my whole motherfucking career. And all these like people who kind of are like, oh, this guy's kind of sad, I guess I have to be his sibling now. Like, it just keeps happening. Like,
it all starts off where it's like, man, I fucking hate Thrawn, and then they're like, actually, I don't hate Thrawn.
You're like, you know what?
He's just kind of socially inept, and I gotta help him.
There's all these like really like emotionally like crazy moments of like Aralani being like, yeah, like I'm always gonna be there for you. It's like whatever, and Thrawn being like, oh, nobody's really been there for me before. Like, thank you. And it's extra sad because then like you know that later on he's like in the Empire alone. I shouldn't feel bad for this man. He's bad, but also I'm sad. I hate this. I mean, and again, it's like watching the Clone Wars and being like, oh, I don't like Anakin, but oh, I'm sad about all the people around him. Oh no. And like, oh, the stuff with Vader is really sad, but I don't like Vader. He's a bitch. But I like Thrawn. Fuck. So it's a problem.
That is the crux of the thing, the issue, isn't it?
All right, so we have some Q&As, Mel. Would you like to about our funky little blue man?
Yeah, let's get into it. Ash of Clan Ren on Twitter did ask us, are there any Chiss with chitties bigger than Simacros, or the biggest in the Ascendancy? His are biggest in the Ascendancy.
Yeah,
Zestamu. I would argue Zestamu.
No, Zestamu does not have big chitties. What are you talking about? Blackfro does not.
Blackfro has chitties.
He might have chitties, but they're not big as Simacros.
I know, Simacro, just everyone in the Ascendancy knows Simacro has the biggest chitties. That's why the oofs are so happy that he's like part of their family, because they're just like, we have the dude with the biggest chitties. What do you all have? Nothing.
I love the family politics of bra size.
That's why Samacro hates family politics, because like the Ufsa only care about his big chitties, and he's just like, I don't give a fuck.
I like the idea of Samacro wearing a shirt where it's like an arrow pointing up at his face and it's like, my eyes are up here. I think that's very funny.
I hate you people.
Anyways, next question from Claire at Quirky Kenobi on Twitter. What would Thrawn's favorite fanfiction trope be and why? So I feel like we've kind of talked about this in the podcast previously. I think there was only one bed is the go-to.
Really?
Because, and this is why I would say that, as we know in Greater Good, Chiss tend to not be in the same room until marriage. So the idea of it's just like a romantic idea of like, oh, there was only one bed.
Well, this is the question then. You really have to start with why. If he were to read fan fiction, why? Does he read it because he wants smut? Does he read it because there's a specific thing that he likes that he wants to know more about? Does he read it because, like, he thinks that the writing is interesting? Because that changes the answer quite a lot.
I like the idea of him finding out about AO3 because, like, in the fucking Chimera fucking staff lounge, whatever the fuck it would be, someone is talking about it and he's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, fan fiction, and they explain it to him and he's like, oh. And so during his free time he just is like, he
has like a scientific interest.
I do think that he reads fan fiction as though it were fiction. Like he is reading like Yu-Gi-Oh.
He's a connoisseur.
He's reading Yu-Gi-Oh fan fiction having never seen an episode. Like, it's just like he's just like that, yeah, like that's what he's you like, do, right? And
one can learn a lot about a culture from their fan fiction.
Exactly. Another question from Quirky Kenobi, Claire. Who would your Chiss bestie, or as we like to call them, Chesty, be?
Fucking every time I hear Chesty. Yeah, Sammy. Actually, no, I don't know. I don't actually think that Sammy and I would be besties. I want to be besties with Samacro, but I don't think we would. Maybe Wootro, actually.
She's a petty bitch who lives for drama, and I do love that. She's like, okay, so what's the tea? Like, I
feel like we could have like a good time. We go out to lunch and then just like gossip.
I was gonna say Thalius, and then I was like, ooh, what about Vanya? But then I was like, no, me and Wootro, we are petty bitches who live for drama, so I think it would be Wootro.
I also would probably say Wootro, but I think additionally, I think that Zienda and I would have an enemies to besties arc, because that's
oh my god,
not enemies to lovers.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but
enemies to besties to lovers. There we go.
Exactly, as God intended. I just think that Zienda, like, is very. She has goals, and I respect that, and I love her for it, and I'm happy that she has made the career choice, the career jump that's gonna work for her. And I think that can be the basis of a beautiful friendship.
You are not in the Arizi family with her, to be fair.
I am not.
I am, so.
Oh, well, fuck me, I guess. Anyway.
It's okay, because me and Mel, we're in the stable of family, and we're more epic.
We already kind of talked about what tactical insights would Thrawn learn from reading AO3.
Well, wait, but actually that is a different question. So, there's what would his favorite trope be, or like kind of fanfiction or whatever, but what could he glean from reading AO3? Like,
he learned everything about you just by the way you write fanfiction.
Like, the way that he could be like, I think he could also look at somebody and know what kind of fanfiction that they read.
I like the idea of Mithron Yoroto figuring out who wrote My Immortal simply by reading it alone.
Hi, my name is Chibney Darkness Raven Way.
No.
Myth Ebony and Dawn.
No, why is it myth? What?
I can't with that.
Wait, who would be Draco Malfoy in this situation?
Okay, the idea of Thrawn being like, someone has written fan fiction about me, and Arlani being like, girl, I don't want to hear about that. That's crazy.
No, but,
anyways.
That's how
Thrawn discovering real people fanfic about himself.
No! This is another question. If people were to, because Thrawn like hits the news all the time, if people were to write RPF about him, who do you think that they would write RPF about him with?
Well, he's in the
Eli
Ascendancy.
Vanto.
He's in the Ascendancy, like, cause he like
Oh,
kinda
in the
grows all the
Ascendancy?
time.
Samacro. They could
Samacro.
write like Arlani and Thrawn.
TikTok user Taika Waititi asks, who would we send to the Chiss Ascendancy?
From the Empire, or like from
I think any
lesser
Star Wars
space?
character we would send to the Chiss Ascendancy who isn't currently there.
Maul.
Why?
That would cause so much chaos. I do kind of love that.
Because it'd just be chaotic. No, I'm just kidding. Not Maul. Even though Thrall for life, everyone.
No, I think that's kind of powerful.
No, I think I'd send Din Djarin. I think Din Djarin and the Chiss would all have a fun, funky, fresh time.
Din would be like, "Are you a Jedi?" And Chewie would be like, I'm 8 years old."
No, Din and Chewie are technically the same age. They become besties.
Din and Chewie.
Din would he'd probably be able to like learn Cheon like very easily. He probably knows some other like of the trade languages.
The idea of Din already knows Saibisti.
What if we predict that correctly and then like in fucking in the show or whatever? Because there has been this theory from the Boba Fett trailer that Din is being used as the translator. What if Din also knows Saibisti?
Get Din out of his Google Translate era. Leave him be.
Fuck AU. Din is Eli Vanto now.
Not Din Djarin Eli Vanto parallels. Get out. So I think Omega would be very epic to send to the Chiss Ascendancy. I think she's just...
Or Boba.
Well, okay. So the thing about Boba is that, like, what age Boba? Because, like, 13-year-old Boba, fuck no! Get that child away from the Chiss Ascendancy. He does not need that. He's in a weird headspace. He does not need that. But, like, adult Boba?
Yeah, small Omega, though.
Baby Mega?
Baby Mega and
She'd
Cheery,
become best friends with Cheery.
Exactly. Welcome. But another thought I had was Imri Canteros. I love the idea. Imri Canteros is a delightful little boy. I love the idea of him being like, can I have a Capri Sun? A space Capri Sun.
I feel like he'd be so overwhelmed. There's like some of the like Chiss have such negative like emotion.
Vibes.
Yeah,
he goes near fucking Thurfian and he's like, oh my god, get away from you. We're so toxic.
Like the vibes are fucking rancid near this motherfucker.
That being said, also, I don't know. Imri Canteros, get your ass to the Chiss Ascendancy quickly. And finally, TikTok user Taika Waititi asks, Thurstalmu, ship it or shit it?
Ship it.
Ship it. Like, it's practically canon. Like,
did y'all see that like tension between them in Greater Good? Like,
it was a little.
I mean, I think it's been there since fucking Chaos Rising.
Yeah, I mean, Timothy Zahn, he can do two things. He can write a girl boss, and he can queer code the fuck out of something by accident. Like,
truly.
Like,
So
at
true,
first it
Misty.
was like, oh, they're like two kind of petty guesties, and then it was like, this is getting a little fruity. What is this?
Yeah, the way when Ollie first like brought it to my attention, and then after that I could not unsee, and I was just like, oh my god.
Oh, here's my new personal headcanon. Because they're Reezy and Myth, and they're technically like enemies or whatever, like politically it would be very weird for them to be associating with each other. So everybody in the Syndicate does think they're fucking instead. So, like, when they, like, go have their little meetings or whatever, and they're like, oh, those two are hooking up again. They're like, oh, my God, did you guys hear about their Stalmu? Like, people, oh, my God, that's the RPF that people write.
It's like those fucking...
their Stalmu.
It's like those fucking, like, Danish politicians that people make fan cams of.
Get out!
Who's making the freaking fan cams of their Stalmu and the Chiss Ascendancy?
Wait, but that's... No,
what's that little farmer girl's name from, like, Greater Good?
She does feel like... I feel like she would listen to BTS.
Lakjeep?
Yes.
Or she
her
the wife?
Frick, one of them. But you know the daughter. She's making the face.
She's popular on TikTok, and she makes their Stalmu edits. But like, everybody's like, yeah, like, I don't know why, like, they get together. Like, the only reason an Arisian myth would be, like, associating is because they're definitely fucking. And, like, nobody would believe them if they were like, yeah, actually, we are, like, politically talking to each other. And they're like, oh my God. You know, it's like a fake dating AU. Like, like, where they're like, oh, like, we have to pretend that we're fucking as our cover.
Pause. Red, white, and royal blue.
No. Not red, white, and royal blue. They're Stalmu. Please.
Romeo and Juliet wishes they had what Thurstalmu has.
Here's Thurstalmu is more of a Mercutio and what's his name? Tybalt situation. That's what they are.
Definitely, yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah, like where they're the queers in the background and we're definitely fucking. Even though Thurfian is fucking hateful. They're also just very interesting characters, and that they're like, no, I'm doing this for like the good of other people, even though you're like, I do also respect Thurfian and his mean queenness to be like, oh, this teenager Thrawn, fuck him. I'm gonna end this motherfucker's whole career for the next 15 years.
He met Thrawn like as a fucking like young cadet when they're about to like adopt him into the fucking myth family, and he took one look at Thrawn and was just like, fuck this kid in particular.
He's like, I'm gonna base my entire career on fucking this man over. I was like, damn, the vibe check.
He's just like, no offense, Patriarch Tharaki, but what the fuck? Why do you want us to take this kid in?
That's a lot. But yeah, Thurstalmu, absolutely 100% OTP. Like, that's a myth.
The context is there. Like, if you look at the context clues, look at the text.
Well, I bet there's like all kinds of like, you know, holodramas and stuff like that are about like, oh, like, you know, opposing family, like, you know, romances and whatever. And so it's like a very common trope. So like, I bet like in the tabloids, if they're seen together, there's like a thing of like, oh my God, like
the March of Silence. That's what the place is called.
Like,
sorry.
Seen in the March of Silence, Syndic Thurfian and Syndic Zistalmu. Is it a I'm so sorry for the sentence that I'm about to utter.
Oh Christ.
A Chomeo and
Not Romeo and Juliet.
Juliet.
I can't wait for the next Star Wars movie, which is that it's just Romeo and Juliet. They're gonna re-release it except for they're blue. We're gonna move on to a segment that we started actually last episode, which we don't actually have quite a formal name for.
Undercover Boss.
Undercover
Star Wars Career Fair.
Yeah, Star Wars Career Fair. Basically, what do we think some Chiss would be up to if they were not part of the Chiss expansionary defense fleet?
Like in universe?
No. Like just like here in the real world.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so I can go first. I'm bringing Samacro. I think that Samacro would be a middle manager at a sunglasses hut.
Please God, that's so fucking cursed. Why?
He has the vibe of a guy who he's working at a derelict chain like mall where all of the other stores are closing except for the sunglasses hut, and he's like, damn it, this is my job. I've had this job for 15 years. Thrawn comes in as like a fixer type, steals his fucking job from me, and he's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna go work for Anne's fucking pretzels if they don't fucking get their shit together. And then he's like, wait, Thrawn's actually kind of cool. Maybe we can be friends. Or can we? And then Thrawn fucking leaves and he's like, God damn it.
That's very powerful.
That is very powerful.
Very powerful. Damn. Mine's Aralani. She is a girl boss. It depends on how one-to-one we want to go with this. I definitely think she would be starting some sort of CEO company. I definitely think she would be like the CEO of Thinks or something, like, and she would be like in a lot of business she would be like 30 under 30 media luminary are Admiral Orlani. I definitely think she would be the author of Lean In. What's the fucking woman from Facebook? What's her name?
Bestie, bold of you to assume I could name a single girl boss.
What is her name?
So I am in a similar headspace to you. I do believe that Arlani is a girl boss in her career, regardless of what it is. I, however, do think she's in a more like Hallmark, like vague marketing position.
Oh.
Like, what does that mean? Who is to say?
Who's to say?
But she is in marketing and she is thriving.
Or to be fair, she also has the vibe of the company that has done a shit wrong is kind of going off the rails. Then they bring in a female CEO and who has to fix it all. Glass Cliff Admiral Orlani.
Okay, the idea of Thrawn being the CEO, he gets canceled. He gets canceled, aka exiled. I love how the Chiss cancel people. They don't just like
Not
say some
cancel culture.
Not cancel.
Okay, that has to be the name of the episode. Cancel culture. But it's like CH apostrophe. Cancel culture. Yeah, they don't just like say some hollow words on Twitter and say, I'm not gonna go see your movie. They say, we're putting you into exile, you dumb bitch.
Yeah, so my person is Thurfian. I know, it's weird for me to be discussing Thurfian because I do fucking hate that gentleman in particular. I do think Thurfian would be like the superintendent of like a school. Like a school district, or maybe even
Not
like the
Principal Thurfian.
No, or like even like for for like a university, like the president of the university,
Not
something like that.
University Dean Thurfian.
Yeah.
That motherfucker is a dean. He is not a principal. He's a dean. Where it's like, fuck you. What is your actual job, sir? Quickly.
Yeah, that fucker, he's like there. If he's like in a university setting, he's like super high up there. I know, like, I don't know how like the higher ups in like higher education work too, but
it's
like
a
he's
provost.
like, yeah, or something where like no matter what he does, like it's so hard to remove that fucker from like his position, and it's just like fuck you, I hate you so much. And he never like does anything that like actually like help you. You go and you're like, oh, I'm having like problems with like this other like teacher or professor or anything, and then it's just like, okay, I've heard you. And they're like, okay, are you gonna do something about it? And he's like, I heard you.
Not thoughts and prayers, Thurfian.
He's like, oh, there's this one student who I would like to end his entire career.
That's why I think he's like a dean. Like he is just like targeting one specific student.
Yeah.
Like Thrawn is out of class for like 2 minutes and he's like, why are you not in class? Where is your hall pass? And he's like,
why are you running?
What do we think Thrawn does?
This is verging very quickly into BBC Sherlock territory.
He not Thrawn being an like private investigator.
I will say this, because Thrawn is a Sherlock fanfiction. Someone did say that does make Vader Lestrade, and that's very funny.
We can't keep doing this.
Does that make Thras Mycroft?
Yes. I was gonna say Arlani would be Mycroft, but Thras being Mycroft is also very powerful.
Anyway, I think Thrawn, it would be very epic of him to be like some like art historian. I don't know, Thrawn as like a writer talking about different pieces of art throughout history.
Thrawn as an art restorator with like an art restoration YouTube channel. He does it just because he's like, oh, look at this, isn't that fun? And then he goes viral.
No, I have something worse. Because Thrawn, we do love him and he is an art appreciator, but he is also evil. You know what YouTube channel he would be?
Mr. Beast?
No, not Mr. Beast. He would be CinemaSins.
Not CinemaSins.
He would be Thrawn ruins the entire way we criticize and look at movies.
Not Thrawn being like, look at this stupid jump cut in Star Wars. The star swipe is so dumb. Girl.
Actually, no. POV Thrawn is the honest trailers guy.
See, I thought you were going to be like, oh, Thrawn is part of Bon Appetit. Like,
Oh my god.
like, don't do that to me. I can't go through another heartbreak.
But I was also like, he is also evil and he does like art. So like POV Thrawn does invent NFTs.
I was gonna be like, is Thrawn an NFT collector? Discuss.
I think Thrawn would be one of those people who's like, I mean, I explain NFTs to you, but I think they're stupid. Or he would be like, logically, like, why would you bother with this? Meanwhile, Anakin collects them. Like, Anakin does collect NFTs. Like Elijah would.
I like the idea of Thrawn talking to, like, Eli about NFTs, and it's like, yes, like, I don't know how NFTs work. I have purchased one or whatever the fuck. And Eli's like, oh, damn, that's crazy. I right-clicked and saved the image, so I got that for free.
No, Briarly Ronan buys NFTs, and then Thrawn is just like, you know, you could just, like, save the image, right? And Ronan's like, you don't understand? It's on the Ethereum blockchain.
You fucking would.
You've just said a series of words that mean nothing to me.
I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending.
That was Exile featuring Bon Iver with Taylor Swift.
I hate you. It's time for Is It Legends? Or did I just make it up? Chiss edition. The Chiss Poacher backpack was a type of backpack available in the galaxy during the Galactic Civil War, sometime after the Battle of Yavin. During this time, they were in use by a group of Chiss poachers in the Ati, with 3 Ys, hunting grounds on the planet of Kashyyyk. A spacer and hunter in the Rhodian hunting party within Ati was awarded one of these packs by fellow party member Kint Zam after they both successfully cleared the Raka Glade of Chiss poachers and killed the ferocious Korrit beast within. Is it Legends? Did I just make it up?
So why the fuck are there Chiss just chilling? So, okay. So the question is, do Chiss poaching backpacks exist?
Choaching
Yeah, poacher chack packs.
Not chack packs. This is so convoluted, but like there were so many details where I was like, why the fuck is there a Chiss anywhere near Kashyyyk? I think that this is Legends.
That sounds like stupid and convoluted enough where I think that's Legends.
You are both correct. It is Legends. The Chiss Poacher backpack was an item available in the 2003 video game Star Wars Galaxies and Empire Divided that was added as part of the Rage of the Wookiees expansion released in 2005. The backpack was noted as being very challenging to obtain and requiring the player to biolink it to themselves, prohibiting it from being worn by any other player, and it could hold up to 50 items like any standard backpack in the game. Does it explain why there are Chiss here? No, it does not.
It really does not. What the fuck?
Here's our next one. Triss was a Chiss female and a librarian of the Enkrakini family on Chila. She helped Luke Skywalker and his expedition search through the Expeditionary Library to help find clues to the location of Zonama Sekut. I don't know how to say anything in Legends, so is it Legends? Did I make it up?
So you... Is this Luke with 2 U's or just Luke?
It's regular Luke.
Regular Luke.
It's not Big Luke.
Yeah, thank you for specifying which Luke.
I think you made this up. I think simply because...
Triss the Chiss?
No, Triss the Chiss, I believe. I believe that could be entirely possible. It is Luke Skywalker interacting with the Chiss that is, like, helping him actively.
I don't know, this sounds dumb enough. I'm gonna be opposite of Mel. I'm still gonna say it's Legends.
You are correct. It is Legends. Here is her appearance, and it's gonna make you feel crazy. She appeared in a book called The New Jedi Order Force Heretic 2 Refugee. And as I look through this, Rife with hostile cultures and outright enemies, the unknown regions hold many perils for Luke Skywalker and the Jedi searching for Zonama Sekit, the living planet that may hold the key to dealing with the Yuzon Vong once and for all. Meanwhile, on the edge of the galaxy and in the heart of a trusted ally, old enemies are stirring. The Yuzon Vong have inflamed it's the Yuzon Vong War. Have inflamed long-forgotten vendettas that are now even building up to a crisis point. And as Han and Leia journey on their quest to knit the unraveling galaxy back together, betrayal and deception await them. There's a lot of shit in here, but basically, in the unknown regions, Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade Skywalker, Jason Solo, Danny Quee, I don't know who the fuck the rest of these people are. Along with some help from
names.
Along with some help from the Imperial Remnant. Actually, some of this might be a little. I should brush up on this because I feel like some of this is gonna come into canon. I've been searching for the living planet Zonama Sekit.
I can't wait for. I think Palpatine's son's actually named Danny Quee or whatever.
Now traveling with the Imperial xenobiologist Soren Haggerty. Haggerty? Really? The group arrive at the planet Mulali Mafir. Wow, these are some names. Luke, Jason, oh my god, Jason Cinderella moment. No, it's not. It's Jason Solo. And a squad of stormtroopers land on the planet in an Imperial shuttle and are met by a tribe of native Krislaw. What the fuck?
Oh god.
No, fuck legends! Oh lord. Upon Luke's request, the Krislaw tell the travelers, blah blah blah. There's a lot of plot here. However, en route back to the Jade Shadow, a patrol of the Chiss Expansionary Defense Force arrives to meet them. The patrol is led by the female Chiss commander Irolia, who demanded to quickly meet with Luke.
Irolia?
They do go to Chila. Luke Skywalker has gone to Chila.
I love that. Good for him.
Here's your final one. Scott was a doctor living during the Cold War. Residing on Makeb, Scott shared his knowledge of investigation with others. Scott the Chiss.
Scott?
Scott.
Like spelled like normal Scott?
Yep!
I fucking hate it.
That's Legends. I don't know what his full name is, but it's Scott.
I mean, if there's Triss the Chiss. Yeah, sure. Let's just keep going. It's Legends.
Well, besties, you are correct. It is Legends. Scott the Chiss does exist.
It here. Timmy, what is that?
This article, or actually, this is not Timmy. He appears in Star Wars The Old Republic, Rise of the Hutt Cartel. So he's a video game. There is a photo of this man. He's a very small character.
Wait, I think I know what image you're talking about.
And it's an incomplete page, so Wikipedia needs your help. Anybody out there who wants to help fill out the Scott page.
Where my Scott stands at.
This game is the first digital expansion pack to the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. And it was released in 2013, so Scott is not that old. He's my new favorite.
Oh, Scott the Chiss.
New favorite ship, Thurstalmu X Scott.
Get Scott away from them.
Scott is not entering the polycule. Jess won.
Damn.
Reigning champ.
In a surprising turn of events.
I didn't even try to trick you guys. Those are all
I
true.
know.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Damn.
They were all legends. It's
The
like
legends, they're all true.
Oh my god, this is just like when Ollie did is it Battlefront 2 or did I just make it up?
Thank you for coming to our Rogue One Beyond a Galaxy Far, Far Away. We have a regularly scheduled full episode for you next week that will be covering Thrawn Lesser Evil. It will be full spoilers, so read it, get into it. We will be dropping some bombs. And I will just say this is not one you want to be spoiled about, so get ready. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It would also be really helpful if you left us a review on Podchaser, which is a really cool app to use anyway. And follow us at RuPalp's Podrace on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We post Star Wars news there. We answer questions. Come say hi. And may Warrior's Fortune smile on you. And don't kriff it up. Chaka-waka.
Not Chaka-waka!
Chaka-waka! No, get that out of here. Get that out of here.